Peter Oborne was the editor of the Spectator in 2003 when the Iraqi war broke out. What's the role of the press that time, and what's the role now?
Well, I was the political editor of the Spectator in 2003, and I'm ashamed to say that my personal role was undistinguished, and the role of the press was, broadly speaking, to support what we can now see in retrospect was a disastrous war. Generally speaking, the British media took the line of the government. It was pro-government, it was therefore pro-war, and it makes me feel very awkward now because we hold the government to account. We say that Mr. Blair has questions to answer, but actually so do we.
What about the American press?
I don't know enough about America to comment.
But some prominent newspapers in America supported the war, and maybe they had not to do.
Yeah, it took a certain amount, in the mainstream media, it took a significant amount of moral courage to oppose the war. Most people were in favour, and in particular the proprietors were in favour. So the editors were in favour. So you had to be a real member of the awkward squad to oppose it. Some people did, but the other thing was, it wasn't just a matter of opposing it was to expose the lies being told by the government at the time. We can expose them now, but to expose them at the time was more important, much more important. No, I didn't oppose it. Well, I really didn't. I just reported what was going on. I didn't take a big principled stand against the war. The newspaper was in favour. I didn't strongly in favour. I didn't write in favour of the war, but I didn't lack the moral courage or the understanding to oppose it. Had I would have been able to on the Spectator. It allows you to take lines like that, but I don't think. But it is certainly the true that in some papers, I think it would have been very hard for journalists to have opposed the war without suffering the consequences.
When media take a stand, what makes the difference? Politics or the sponsors?
I think the most important thing is the weight of collective opinion. What I learnt from the Iraq war, the reporting of it, was that there is a herd instinct, and people expect you to react in a certain way. And it takes a considerable amount of courage to stand out against that herd instinct. And by reflecting on that, I hope it has changed me as a journalist when I realized that actually I let down my readers, I let down myself. In a way, I think I let down the press by being weak about the Iraq war.
And finally, about the present crisis, the refugee crisis, what's the role of the information industry?
Well, I think the refugee crisis is quite widely reported. You see it a great deal on the television, you can see it reported in the newspapers. The real problem is understanding what is causing these great movements of people. And a lot of them are related to wars, to famine, to economic migration, all kinds of different causes. And my sense is that although the media is good at reporting the extraordinary journeys made by refugees and interviewing them, it's less good at explaining the deep reasons behind what's going on.